Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So we had a lot of primaries take place last Tuesday. However, we have a lot more that are going to be taking place on this Tuesday. And then we kind of have about a month or so where there's not going to be a whole lot of high-profile primaries. Some weeks we'll have less of them. Some weeks we'll actually have more of them, but they're like in safe states where there's not any high-profile races. But there's going to be three that are coming up this Tuesday: Alabama, Arkansas, and Georgia. And this video is going to be focusing on Alabama and Arkansas. A lot of people will say, well, Georgia could be considered a part of the Deep South too. It voted for Goldwater, whatever. And it's like, that might be true depending on how you define the Deep South. But either way, Alabama and Arkansas are indisputably more Deep South than Georgia, especially at this point in the culture that is changing in the Atlanta area, to the point where this video will focus on both of these because there are some high-profile races in them. Georgia arguably has more. I felt like it would deserve its own video, talking about Brian Kemp, also talking a little bit about the Secretary of State race, which might even be more competitive and consequential, as well as some of the congressional races down ballot there. So in this video, we'll be getting into Alabama and Arkansas. A lot is changing in Alabama, the Senate race. Will we be seeing a return of MAGA Mo, the momentum? It's back. He's back with a vengeance. Trump unendorsing him. Could it have been 4D chess? We're going to get into all of it, but first I have to tell you guys about our very good friends over at My Patriot Supply. Friends, we now live in a very dangerous world where the unthinkable could happen any day now. So when it does, you got to get ready for massive food shortages because they may happen quickly. So the smart thing to do is to prepare for the worst right now. You're going to need emergency food to get you through whatever happens next, and I highly recommend My Patriot Supply, America's largest emergency preparedness company. Act quickly and you'll save $150 off their essential 3-month emergency food kit, which contains an abundance of delicious food and provides more than 2,000 calories a day of breakfasts, lunches, dinner, drinks, and snacks. That's 3 whole months worth per person, which is something that every American family will soon need and should have. Your shipment will ship quickly in unmarked boxes for your privacy. So go to preparewithredeagle.com and save $150 on every 3-month food kit. $150, but you got to do it right now. That's preparewithredeagle.com. Do not be a victim. Survive what is coming and avoid the government food lines. Go to preparewithredeagle.com. So we have primaries that are coming up in 2 states, Alabama and Arkansas, as well as Georgia, but this video is just going to focus on these 2. So Alabama, very high-profile Senate race there. Everybody remembers what happened. If you didn't, you know that Trump endorsed Mo Brooks, who is unabashedly the best candidate in this race by far. And then we saw Trump unendorse Mo Brooks. Trump claimed he unendorsed him because Mo Brooks went out there and said we have to move past 2020, or he said some offhand comment. But I think that that is nonsensical. I don't think that's why Trump unendorsed him, because Trump endorsed a lot of candidates who, like, I believe Tim Scott, and he endorsed Mike Crapo, these losers who congratulated Biden like very early on and like condemned Trump and said he was like responsible for 1/6 or whatever. Like, Trump endorsed those people right off the bat instantly. And Boozman in Arkansas too, which we'll get to in a minute. But I will say that it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't seem to add up. Seems like it's a little bit of an inconsistency on the part of Trump there, but the real reason why Trump endorsed Mo Brooks and then unendorsed him, in my opinion, was because you have to look at the polling numbers. Mo Brooks got Trump's endorsement and basically just sat there. He was very favored early on. Even before the Trump endorsement, he was at like 60% in the polls, and you see this here. He was going to make it, in the first round. He wouldn't have even needed to, win in the runoff at that point, but nevertheless, you look at it and you see the fact that he kind of slowly fell, and then some polls had him out of the running and didn't even have him making the runoff, which is very telling. And Trump unendorsed him because Trump has got a big ego. He cares about that endorsement record of his. That's why he endorses a lot of these incumbents. And I really wish that he just would stop focusing so much on that and focusing more on the issues. And he's done that in some instances, like he endorsed McGeehan up in Idaho and she fell short. But nevertheless, this was a bad unendorsement for Donald Trump because Mo Brooks is fairly solid on all the issues, especially immigration, which is huge. and Alabama had the lone like immigration hawk warrior in Jeff Sessions. He's out, so you could, replace him with Mo Brooks, who'd be very solid on the issue. And apparently Mo Brooks was falling. However, you could say maybe the unendorsement like lit a fire under him. Like it actually caused him to get out there and campaign, because it is true, and I will say this to Trump's credit, that Mo Brooks was not even trying to win. He thought he had it in the bag. He just sat there, didn't do anything. Well, now the tide is turning. Trump is not endorsing Britt or Durant because they both are garbage. Britt's the McConnell choice, by far, an establishment clown who worked for Richard Shelby, very close to Shelby. Shelby, comparatively speaking, is a rhino in Alabama. He really is. This state could have a very conservative senator. He's one of the more establishmentarian liberal senators, and if he probably represented like a swing state, he would have a voting record no different than Susan Collins. So you look at this and you see Mike Durant. He's endorsed by the Lincoln Project people as well. I actually don't think on paper he's as bad as Britt, but at the same time, he has a lot of bad people endorsing him to the point where it's like, yeah, I can't really get behind this guy either. I think Durant and Britt are both rhinos. Mo Brooks is the only choice, and Brooks is actually having a comeback right now. You look at Predict It, the betting odds right here, and you'll see the fact that Mo Brooks is at 40 cents to come in second, which means he will almost certainly make the runoff, which is absolutely huge. And maybe Trump will re-endorse him in the runoff, saying he's redeemed himself, he's got it together, because Trump has thrown shade at Katie Britt and Mike Durant as well. So I'm really confident that if Brooks makes it past the first round and has a good showing in the primary, then Trump will endorse him for the runoff and then for the general election. But either way, it's interesting to see a candidate come back like this. I hope he can continue. Hopefully, Britt will be held below 50%. I think she obviously will. But if Brooks is gaining, he's gaining the undecideds. That's a massive development. That's perfect, a great step in the right direction. We love to see it. Momentum is back. But that's not the only election that's going to take place in Alabama. There's the primary election for governor. Kay Ivey, a lot of people are angry with Kay Ivey, just like they were angry with DeWine in Ohio or Little in Idaho surrounding the whole COVID thing. And as a result, she has faced several primary challengers. And unlike Ohio, there are runoffs. She could very well be held below 50%. Now, is it likely? A lot of people are saying no. She's like in the high 90s in the betting odds, but still there's a chance. I mean, a lot of these polls that we've seen, the last 3 polls that we've seen actually have Ivey below 50%. Yes, there are 10 to 15% in these polls that remain undecided, but at the same time, it's important to note the basic fact that the undecided voters likely know about Kay Ivey. They know who Kay Ivey is, and they choose not to support her regardless, which says something. And maybe they're undecided on Blanchard or James or whoever. I think if Trump endorsed Blanchard, because she worked in his administration, but if Trump actually endorsed Blanchard for governor, I think that she probably would hold Ivey below 50 and probably would win in the runoff whenever it happens. But either way, I think it's important to look at this and say, wait a minute, now Ivey's falling. She's fallen from 52 to 45 in the last poll. I think there's a chance. I'm not saying that it's like 50 or 60% likely to happen, but I'd say that there's like a 25 to 30% chance she gets forced into a runoff, which is much higher than like the 5% or whatever that Predict It has going on. So it's interesting. We're going to have to watch it, but we also have elections in Arkansas, another state that does indeed exist. I've been there, so I can confirm its existence. But you look at the Republican field and you see the fact that John Boozman, who is the incumbent senator, but he's like a regular normie neocon. He's an establishment guy. He's been there since 2010, hasn't really done much. He may not exactly be the worst senator either, but at the same time, he's weak. And this is Arkansas. You could get a severe upgrade in this race. You have Jake Paquette, who is running on his record as a veteran. He was in the NFL. He played football at Arkansas, and he definitely has high name recognition, which is helping him so far in this race. Jan Morgan is also running. Jan Morgan ran against Hutchinson in 2018 for the governorship, back when Hutchinson was fairly popular. and she got like 35% of the vote against him, which really said something and took a lot of counties. So she's been involved in primary challenges before and has done fairly well, to the point where Morgan and Biquette both are going to weigh down Boozman, one could say. And you could look at the polls that we've seen. We've only had one poll. Polls in Arkansas are not really their strong suit, so you never really know. But Boozman is indeed below 50%, with 18% undecideds. Now, the undecideds could break in favor of Boozman, but a lot of the undecideds already know who Boozman is and probably don't like him. They're waiting. They could be undecided between Biquette and Morgan, which is also important. And who do I support in this race? I support Morgan. Morgan has the better platform. If Biquette wins or at least gets past the first round and somehow holds Boozman under 50, yeah, I'll support Biquette over Boozman. But Morgan is better on immigration. She wants like a moratorium for 10 years or whatever. She's good on big tech, all the issues. A more grassroots candidate, to say the least, and she actually does have a chance. And again, has higher name recognition in Arkansas than your average primary challenger. So hopefully it's Boozman and Morgan in a runoff. If it's Boozman and Biquette, it's not really the end of the world, but I would prefer Morgan. And also, one could say that Boozman could very well end up making it in this primary, but hopefully not. Hopefully he gets held below 50. Trump endorsed him, which was an L. Trump endorsed him early on. He should have waited. I'm wondering if he would even switch his endorsement in a runoff, but that's just kind of an L endorsement for Trump. He should have at least stayed out or waited until these challengers rose up in the ranks. But either way, there's a lot of support out there for Biquette and Morgan, to the point where Trump's endorsement might not be the only factor that would just instantly affect the race and push Boozman to the top, especially because Trump's not like down there doing a rally for him or anything like that. So it just is what it is. We'll have to see. But there's also another primary that does matter, and that is in the 2nd district, where you have French Hill, who is very weak and moderate, one of the most milquetoast establishment Republicans in Congress, and he is in Arkansas. His district used to be a little bit more competitive, so it was understandable. You know, he wasn't always seen as the most high-profile, like, neocon rhino to primary out. However, his district now has changed, and Little Rock has been divided, so this district has gotten less competitive, and now it is very possible that Hill could actually go down in the primary. It's going to be interesting to see. He's going up against a veteran named Conrad Reynolds. I think Hill probably might hold on, but this is a race to watch on Tuesday, nevertheless, when the results are pouring in. But either way, guys, you have these two elections that are coming up. Tomorrow's video will cover Georgia, so do stay tuned for that. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.